Hello, hello! My name is Kallista, and welcome back to Dragon Age Origins. In the last episode, Rassana was checking in with her clanmates before she goes and tries to find Tamlen. He's alone in the woods, he could be dying, we do need to get to him. Now, we did chat with Pival, so let's see, what else have we got? We have equipment. Thank you for the good stuff. I would hope that would be easy enough. It's an open crate. We can't pick the chest, but we do have a scroll. Arlathan, Part 1. Before the ages were named or numbered, our people were glorious and eternal and never changing. Like the great oak tree, they were constant in their traditions, strong in their roots, and ever reaching for the sky. They felt no need to rush when life was endless. They worshipped their gods for months at a time. Decisions came after decades of debate, and an introduction could last for years. From time to time, our ancestors would drift into centuries-long slumber, but this was not death, for we know they wandered the Fade in dreams. In those ages, our people called all the land Elvenan, which in the old language means place of our people, and at the centre of the world stood the great city of Arlathan, a place of knowledge and debate, where the best of the ancient elves would go to trade knowledge, greet old friends, and settle disputes that had gone on for millennia. But while our ancestors were caught up in the forever cycle of ages, drifting through life at what we today would consider an intolerable pace, the world outside the lush forests and ancient trees was changing. The humans first arrived from Parvolin to the north. Called Shemlen or Quicklings by the ancients, the humans were pitiful creatures whose lives blinked by in an instant. When they first met the elves, the humans were brash and warlike, quick to anger and quick to fight, with no patience for the unhurried pace of elven diplomacy. But the humans brought worse things than war with them. Our ancestors proved susceptible to human diseases, and for the first time in history, elves died of natural causes. What's more, those elves who spent time bartering and negotiating with humans found themselves aging, tainted by the humans' brash and impatient lives. Many believed that the ancient gods had judged them unworthy of their long lives and cast them down among the quicklings. Our ancestors came to look upon the humans as parasites, which I understand is similar to the way the humans see our people in the cities. The ancient elves immediately moved to close Elvenan off from the humans, for fear that this quickening effect would crumble the civilization. The fall of Arlathan, as told by Gisharel, keeper of the Ralafarin clan of the Dalish elves. Again, I said this about the codex entry we found on Fen Harel. It's a pretty story, but as players, we know that it's just that. A story. We know why the elves quickened. It's not because of the arrival of humans, it's because the veil went up and it cut elves off from the Fade. We know that it's actually a line that Solus says when you ask him about Arlathan. He says people talk about it as if they're talking about, ramps through the trees and like woodland cities, but in actual fact you should be imagining crystalline spires. And in Trespasser we hear about these amazing things being built over the course of a couple of hours by thousands upon thousands of slaves. The ancient elves weren't these kind of tree-dwelling nature people. They had cities, they had empires, but the Dalish, I think they're so keen to imprint their own lifestyle onto the ancient elves as a way of saying, look, we're doing it right. this is the correct way. The ancient elves all lived in the woods, when in actual fact that no, we know that the city elves lead much closer lives to the ancient elves. They're in cities, they're not marking their faces with Valasleen. The city elves are actually recreating their culture and history a lot better than the Dalish are. But the Dalish, one, they don't know that, and two, I think it would cause them a lot of pain to admit that. Being Dalish is hard. And Rassana would never admit that. Rassana has a very idealized view of her life. All those hardships prove that they're close to being Elven and all of that gubbins. And if they realise, yeah, you're wandering in the woods, shitting in holes and smelling like Halla for no reason, can you imagine how painful that would be to learn?
On it.
And I'm having you. Thank you. Any other codex entries knocking about? We got one over there. Okie doke. Eldest of the Sun.
Let's get started.
Elganon, god of vengeance. Long ago, when time itself was young, the only things in existence were the sun and the land. The sun, curious about the land, bowed his head close to her body, and Elganon was born in the place where they touched. The sun and the land loved Elganon greatly, for he was beautiful and clever. As a gift to Elganon, the land brought forth great birds and beasts of sky and forest, and all manner of wonderful green things. Elganon loved his mother's gifts, and praised them highly, and walked amongst them often. The sun, looking down upon the fruitful land, saw the joy that Elganon took in her works, and grew jealous. Out of spite, he shone his face full upon all the creatures the earth had created, and burned them all to ashes. The land cracked and split from bitterness and pain, and cried salt tears for the loss of all she had wrought. The pool of tears cried for the land became the ocean, and the cracks in her body the first rivers and streams. Elganon was furious at what his father had done, and vowed vengeance. He lifted himself into the sky and wrestled the sun, determined to defeat him. They fought for an eternity, and eventually the sun grew weak, while Elganon's rage was unabated. Eventually, Elganon threw the sun down from the sky and buried him in a deep abyss created by the land's sorrow. With the sun gone, the world was covered in shadow, and all that remained in the sky were the reminders of Elganon's battle with his father. Drops of the sun's lifeblood, which twinkled and shimmered in the darkness. From the tale of Elganon and the sun, as told by Gisharel, keeper of the Ralafarin clan of the Dalish elves. My thought with this is that this is an amazing backstory to give yourself. Bearing in mind that Elganon was he was a war general. What is it Solus said? It all started with a war. War breeds a desire for simplicity, good and evil, right and wrong, chains of command. And, what's the next bit? Generals became respected elders, then kings, then finally gods, the Evernoris. And when you become a god, you want to create an amazing backstory for yourself. So, hey, I am born of the sun and the land, and I beat the shit out of the sun, and I threw him into an abyss. Worship me. Like, Elganon has style, you've got to give him that. Now then, you two got anything to say?
I miss Tamlen. I want him to come home.
Oh, same, little girl. Same.
Why would the Keeper call for a move so early? We were not expecting to leave for weeks.
I think Rassana's just going to look somewhat guilty and leave her alone. Just like, yeah, why would she do that?
It's good to see you healthy. We feared you would perish.
Are you going to help look for Tamlen? Oh, poor boy. Lost somewhere out there.
Yeah, Rassana is very troubled by the idea of Tamlen lost and alone. He's dying. He's dying of a sickness, which, you know, could be a very arduous, long way to die. It's not even a quick death. So she's quite distressed by all of this.
Anithara, it's good to see you recovered.
Oh god, I've got to remember how to do the Irish accent. Clover, there we go. Thank you, I should go. How are the Halla faring, Marin?
They fare well. The Keeper called for the clan to move on, and they will be ready to take us. One is heavy with calf, but it shouldn't be a problem. May I ask of Tamlin's fate? Some say the clan will leave before we find him.
I won't allow that to happen. We're going to find him, don't worry. He may very well be dead. Oh. Yeah, I think Rassana isn't entertaining the idea of leaving him behind. I won't allow that to happen.
The Halla mourn our fallen. No sound is more heart-wrenching than their mourning cry. At least they won't be crying over you. They are quite fond of you.
They are your friends, then. The Halla are beautiful creatures. Should that make me happy? Of course it makes Rassana happy. Rassana values the Halla. They are wonderful beings. The Halla are beautiful creatures.
I admire them for their strength and pride. They are equals, not servants like the Shemlin horses. At any rate, I do not envy the Keeper's decision. I'll pray for Tamlin's safe return.
The Shemlin even ride inferior horses. See, the Dalish, clearly superior. And Gillenane, mother of the Halla. They say Gillenane was one of the people in the days before Arlathan and the chosen of Andruil the Huntress. She was very beautiful, with hair of snowy white and as graceful as a gazelle. She kept always to Andruil's ways, and Andruil favoured her above all others. One day, while hunting in the forest, Gillenane came across a hunter she did not know. At his feet lay a hawk, shot through the heart by an arrow. Gillenane was filled with rage, for the hawk, along with the hare, is an animal much beloved of Andruil. Gillenane demanded that the hunter make an offering to Andruil in exchange for taking the life of one of her creatures. The hunter refused, and Gillenane called upon the goddess to curse him so that he could never again hunt and kill a living creature. Gillenane's curse took hold, and the hunter found that he was unable to hunt. His prey would dart out of sight, and his arrows would fly astray. His friends and family began to mock him for his impotence. For what use is a hunter who cannot hunt? Ashamed, the hunter swore he would find Gillenane and repay her for what she had done to him. He found Gillenane while she was out on a hunt with her sisters, and lured her away from them with lies and false words. He told Gillenane that he had learned his lesson, and begged her to come with him so she could teach him to make a proper offering to Andruil. Moved by his plea, Gillenane followed the hunter, and when they were away from all of her sisters, the hunter turned on Gillenane. He blinded her first, and then bound her as one would bind a fresh kill. What the fuck was that? Did you see that? Like a flash. Just ignore it, hope that everything is fine, keep your fingers crossed. Okay, where was I? He blinded her first, and then bound her as one would bind a fresh kill from the hunt. But because he was cursed, the hunter could not kill her. Instead, he left her for dead in the forest. And Gillenane prayed to the gods for help. She prayed to Elganon for vengeance, to Mother Mythal to protect her, but above all she prayed to Andruil. Andruil sent her hares to Gillenane, and they chewed through the ropes that bound her. But Gillenane was still wounded and blind, and could not find her way home. So Andruil turned her into a beautiful white deer, the first Halla, and Gillenane found her way back to her sisters, and led them to the hunter who was brought to justice. And since that day, the Halla have guided the people, and have never led us astray, for they listen to the voice of Gillenane. From The Tale of Gillenane, as told by Gisherel, keeper of the Ralafarin clan of the Dalish elves. Again, a very interesting backstory, especially because of what we learn in Inquisition and in Tevinter Nights. The Horrors of Hormak really does a lot of explaining with Gillenane's backstory. So if you maybe aren't aware, this first part is true. Gillenane wasn't one of the war leaders who became a general, who became a king, who became a god. Gillenane was just a random elf. She was one of the people, and she made monsters. It wasn't that Anduil turned Gillenane into a Hala, it's that Gillenane made the Hala. She's, I think the best description would be that she's a scientist that has government backing. So she made a load of creatures, and the Evernoris kind of took note of this and thought, oh, she'd be a really good person to join our group. And Anduil came to Gillenane and basically said, if you kill all of your monsters, because they're starting to get a bit much, I'm having a grand old time hunting them, but you've made a bit too many of them. If you just kill all of them, we'll make you an Evernoris. And Gillenane does that. She doesn't kill some of them. She refuses to kill the animals of the air because she devotes them to Anduil. She doesn't kill any of the creatures in the deep ocean because pride stays her hand, and that is pride with a capital P. So, potentially something or someone... so let's translate to pride. Potentially stops her from killing the things in the deep ocean, and then she doesn't kill the Hala because Gillenane is very fond of the Hala, and I think because they're not really doing anyone any damage, they're herbivores, like what are they gonna do? She doesn't kill the Hala. Also in the Horrors of Hormak, as I said, Tevinter Nights, it goes into what people are theorizing to be more of Gillenane's backstory. She seemed more like a mad scientist. Think less scientist curing cancer and think scientist performing extremely grotesque experiments a la World War II. Think of those scientists. Yeah, I love the Horrors of Hormak. That was my favourite story in Tevinter Nights. It was great. I would highly recommend picking that one up. Now then, I can see the quest marker that says Merrill is over there, but we have so much left to explore, so many people to talk to. A dusty scroll. Arlathan Part 2. You ask what happened to Arlathan. Sadly, we do not know. Even those of us who keep the ancient lore have no record of what truly happened. What we have are accounts of the days before the fall, and the fable of the whims of the gods. The human world was changing even as the elves slept. Clans and tribes gave way to a powerful empire called Tevinter, which, and for what reason we do not know, moved to conquer Elvenar. When they breached the great city of Arlathan, our people, fearful of disease and loss of immortality, chose to flee rather than fight. With magic, demons, and even dragons at their behest, the Tevinter Imperium marched easily through Arlathan, destroying homes and galleries and amphitheatres that had stood for ages. Our people were corralled as slaves, and human contact quickened their veins until every captured elf turned mortal. The elves called to their ancient gods, but there was no answer. As to why the gods didn't answer, our people left only a legend. They say that Fen'Harel, the Dread Wolf and Lord of Tricksters, approached the ancient gods of good and evil and proposed a truce. The gods of good would remove themselves to heaven, and the lords of evil would exile themselves to the abyss, neither group ever again to enter the other's lands. But the gods did not know that Fen'Harel had planned to betray them, and by the time they realized the Dreadwolf's treachery, they were sealed in their respective realms, never again to interact with the mortal world. It is a fable, to be sure. But those elves who travel the beyond claim that Fen'Harel still roams the world of dreams, keeping watch over the gods lest they escape their prisons. Whatever the case, Arlathan had fallen to the very humans our people had once considered mere pests. It is said that the Tevinter Magisters used their great destructive power to force the very ground to swallow Arlathan whole, destroying eons of collected knowledge, culture, and art. The whole of elven lore left only to memory. The fall of Arlathan, as told by Gisharel, keeper of the Ralaferan clan of the Dalish elves. Yeah, again, we know Arlathan had already fallen by the time Tevinter became an empire. Those are two very separate things. They did not happen at the same time. It's just that the Dalish, I think they want someone to blame. We had an empire and then we were enslaved. What the fuck happened there? Who should we be blaming? And they don't want to blame themselves. No one wants to blame themselves when they fuck up that badly. So it is much easier to put the blame on the people who enslaved them. I mean, they enslaved them. They were slavers. That is an utterly barbaric, evil thing to do. Why wouldn't they have caused the fall of the Elven Empire? And it doesn't help that Tevinter is very eager to keep that mantle. They want that label because look how powerful we are. The elves once had this awe-inspiring empire and we destroyed that. Look at our power. I just feel like it's a messy situation on the whole.
As you wish.
Thank you. Now then, Island and a random hunter.
I'm glad you recovered. Once we find Tamlen, we can concentrate on the journey northward.
Thank you for the bow, Master Island. It is light and sturdy, much better than the one I made last year.
You are more than welcome. My father made it and used it in battle against the Clane tribes.
I will carry it with honor.
May I see your craft, Master Island? Could I ask you for a bow as well, Master Island? I would like to hear the story of your father's battle. Why would you relinquish such a relic? I should go. And not number 4. Rassana knows that her hand is Island's hand, so he hasn't given up anything by giving the bow to this young man. I would like to hear the story of your father's battle.
Then I am proud to tell it. Our clan was one of the first to flee the Dales. When we came to Ferelden, the fiercest of the Shimlin were the barbarians known as the Clane. We didn't wait for them to attack us. Every Dalish clan in Ferelden united to bring the battle to them.
We attacked them first. Ha! Serves the humans right. Let them fear us. There are more Dalish clans in Ferelden. I'm going to go with number 2. I would assume that Rassana knows there are more Dalish clans in Ferelden. She'll have been to the 10-year gathering. I forget what that's called. Ha! Serve the... once more. Ha! Serves the humans right. Let them fear us.
The ensuing battle went well for us. That day, we carved out our reputation of being the deadliest archers. Our arrows won us the right to wander these woods at will. It was this very bow that my father used that day.
Thank you for the tale, Master Island, and especially the bow. I will honor its history.
Okay, so what he's saying is a little bit fucked up in the timeline, because I'm pretty sure that I apologize, I've been getting so tongue-tied this episode. I'm pretty sure that the Dalish fled the Dales a couple of 100 years ago at least. Even if this guy is like 80, his dad couldn't have fought the Clane 200 years ago. So this is a little screwy. Also, we know the history of the Sabre clan. That's what this clan is called, Clan Sabre. And we know that in, oh god, it's something like 882, the current clan leader, I'm not going to say who, Rassana would know, but Rassana wouldn't know the connection she had to said clan leader, basically brought the tribe to the Frostback Mountains, and the Avar attacked them, and Keeper Marathari, at the time she was the Keeper's first, basically directed the clan to come to where they are now, which is in the south... Never eat shredded wheat. It's the southwest of the Brazilian forest. So they're somewhere between Ostagar and Guarin currently. Also, that's the battle where Marathari's husband, Sayril, died, and where she made a very interesting deal with a particular witch of the wilds. Of course, Rassana wouldn't know that. That is way before her time, and I doubt anyone talks about it. Could I ask you for a bow as well, Master Island?
One of my own crafting, perhaps?
Yes, thank you.
It may not have a history, but you'll provide one for it soon enough, yes?
May I see your crafts, Master Island?
Of course. Take whatever you need.
Yeah, if Rassana is going to get back Tamlen, then she wants whatever advantage she can get, and Master Island makes some very good bows. Let's sell off that. We don't need those. Don't need that. And we might as well. Okie doke. Let's see, what do you actually have? Okay, yeah, that's... I'm good. I'm good. And let's equip his bow. I know we already had a scout's bow equipped, but... You know, he gave it to us. It's a nice addition. It's nice to equip the bow that he specifically gave us over the one we found. Now then. Oh, God of the Craft, Junei. We dedicate all our crafts to Junei, for it is he who taught the people to bend the branches of trees to make our bows, and to fashion coverings of fir and iron bark. Without Junei, would we have the Aravel, or the harnesses for our Hala? When the people were young, we wandered the forests without purpose. We drank from streams and ate the berries and nuts that we could find. We did not hunt, for we had no bows. We wore nothing, for we had no knowledge of spinning or needlecraft. We shivered in the cold nights and went hungry through the winters, when all the world was covered in ice and snow. Then Selays, the hearthkeeper, came and gave us fire and taught us how to feed it with wood. Junei taught us to fashion bows and arrows and knives so that we could hunt. We learned to cook the flesh of the creatures we hunted over Selays' fire, and we learned to clothe ourselves in their furs and skins. And the people were no longer cold and hungry. As told by Gisharel, keeper of the Ralafarin clan of the Dalish elves, there is so little knowledge about Junei out there. The Dalish really don't know dick about him. And personally, I feel like Junei may be the god of slaves. And it's just that the Dalish, obviously they've forgotten that their people owned slaves at one time. They've got such an idealized view of their history. And so when they see depictions of Junei with these tools, they just kind of thought, oh, we don't really know what those tools are for. He must have been a craftsman. I think potentially the tools that Junei holds were to make the brandings, the Valasleen on people's faces. So it's just a personal theory. I don't really have anything to back that up because there is so little lore about Junei, but I think he's the god of slaves. Anything else? Juna and Paul. Well, this is an unfamiliar face.
Ah, it's good you're well. You weren't here when Paul arrived, were you?
I've heard of you. Everyone is talking about you and the other missing hunter. A Grey Warden brought you back here.
You're not Dalish, are you? The hunter's name is Tamlen. Do you know about the Grey Warden? Yes, her first thought would be, who the fuck is this guy? Why are you here? You're an elf? Yes, but you're clearly not one of my people. You're not Dalish, are you?
That obvious, is it? I just found your camp a couple of days ago. A lucky thing. I heard rumors in a nearby human village that a Dalish camp was close, and I hope to find your hunters in the forest.
You were fortunate I didn't shoot you, Paul. I thought you were a Shem, and a bandit at that. You're not the first city elf to rejoin his people. I'm sure you'll find life among us more satisfying than with the Shems, if no less harsh.
In the alienage, we hear terrible stories about the Dalish. They aren't true, right?
Only the parts where we sacrifice young elves to the gods. Prove yourself useful and the clan will be your home. Just don't be a coward like some and flee. You've nothing to worry about, Paul. So, Rassana is perfectly friendly to the city elves who come and join the Dalish, but they'll never be really Dalish. Let's be honest, they'll always have that stink of being a flat ear. And as such, you know, they need to be treated like children because that's basically all they are. They'll never really understand what it means to be Dalish. But, you know, they're trying. As I said, Rassana, not always a nice person. You've nothing to worry about, Paul.
Thank you. The clan has been very kind and welcoming. I never expected it to be like this.
Anything else to say?
I'm training Paul. He'll have to learn how to handle that bow quickly.
He will.
It was good to meet you. Perhaps I'll get to hunt with you someday.
I should go. I've never seen a Shemlin city. What's it like? Do elves from the city learn to fight or shoot a bow? We here city elves don't know what it means to be elven. Why did you leave the city? Yeah, I can't imagine that Rassana has ever seen a city. She's been in towns. You know, little hamlets, villages. Like, she's never been to Denerim or Redcliffe or Highever. You know, any of the main major cities. None of that. But, to be perfectly honest, I don't know if she'd care. Fuck the Shemlin cities. And I think she knows that they don't learn to fight or shoot. Why did you leave the city?
I got into trouble for stealing. I'm not a thief. We just never really had a choice. Mother was a maid, and I was lucky if I could get work at the docks. You make a living however you can, right? When Mother died, I got drunk and was caught picking a guard's pocket. They were going to hang me, but I escaped and, well, here I am.
We don't have much call for thieving. Sometimes we take what we need. You won't have to resort to that anymore. Yes, he'll have a good life amongst the Dalish as long as he pulls his weight and he, you know, becomes a part of the clan, but he'll never really be a part of the clan, if you get what I mean. You won't have to resort to that anymore.
I'll do my best to adjust and fit in. I never dreamed you'd be so welcoming. I thought at best you might hide me for a bit. I'm glad I was wrong.
Number 4 is a good point. However, here's the thing. She knows he's just going to say, oh, that's not true, even though Rassana knows. It is completely true. The Flat-Ears don't know dick about being elves. So it would just cause an unnecessary argument. He's part of the clan now. I'm sure he'll fit in great, even if he'll never be a true part of the clan. I should go.
Of course. I hope to see you again.
She's very friendly. Very friendly and welcoming, but if there was a fire and she was saving people, she probably wouldn't save him. She'd be like, fuck it, I'll save him last. If he doesn't burn alive, then good on him. You know, he's clearly a survivor. How lovely. Now then, I am just about out of time for this episode. In the next, more talking to people. I promise it won't take as long as the Mage Origin. There were a lot of people to talk to in that one. There aren't too many people left to talk to here, I promise. But until then, please remember to like if you enjoyed, leave a comment below, and if you wanted to subscribe, it would be very much appreciated. I've been Callista. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next episode.